the jury is still out whether or not we can watch a movie on Tuesday. It seems like some of my other friends are doing it like 2 or 3 times a week, and there's no problem as long as you, because I would never want money. You put it on demonetized, and we're just watching it, and that seems to be fine. But like Steve said, with some channels, they don't want you to. So maybe I'm not registered, or I don't have enough viewers, or I'm not in the right category. I don't know. So we're still sorting it out. But I did want to apologize that if you had been watching any shows, let's just put it this way. It's not all me. It's not all me. It's not just me hitting buttons and, and cutting shows. I wouldn't do that to you. So I'll keep you posted. Tonight, we're going to try to do a short one. I thought we'd invite Steve here, and we'll just do a Q&A if you guys want to do any questions or you want to talk about something, because I got to go to work very early tomorrow, and I'm doing the best I can. And I just wanted to come in and talk to you guys and say hi and tell you I love you. And if you've been watching the show and wondering what was going on, or you didn't get the notification yesterday, I apologize. But like I said, I'm still trying to work it out. I wish I had a better explanation for you. Hey, Amber, welcome in. Welcome in. If you're over on Rumble, we love you. Please hit the like over there. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like there too. It does help. And thanks so much. If you're not on Rumble, please get over there, because we are going to try to do shows. Now, I'll tell you this little quip. Right now, where I am, I can do shows with a microphone 2 times a week. And that's why I was so excited to be able to do other shows during the week, so I could hang out with you guys where I didn't have to have a mic. I could just be in the chat, because where my studio is, if the TV is on, or there's other people in the house or something like that, I can't do a show. And it gets a little hairy around here sometimes. So I apologize for that, but I'm still working on it. We'll find something that works. Right, Steve?
Yep.
Hey, Double Aaron. Good to have you in here. Yep. You're going to work early tomorrow, too. Are you a florist? Are you a floral designer this Valentine's week, or no? 13. Good to see you in here, Steve. So what's going on in your channels? Tell me a little bit about what's going on over there.
Well, it's working on new content for Missing Persons and Mysteries, and I've got stuff coming up on Tales Untold. Got some immersive storytelling over there. Got some really good stuff coming up. And still not sure what I'm going to be doing with 13 Past Midnight. It's been a seasonal thing. Around Halloween, I did the 31 Nights of Halloween, or thereabouts, and then I did the 12 Nights of Krampus / Christmas. So, and then Insomniac Radio Theater, still working on that too. Got a lot of things in motion, but everything kind of takes a back seat when you got a 5-month-old.
Isn't that true? Isn't that true? You're doing a great job, though. You're doing a great job. And it's really hard to balance all those channels and have good content. Same here. It's I was talking to Eric, and he's Unseen Paranormal. He wrote a fabulous
his book just came out a couple of days ago, by the way.
He sure did. I'll see if I could pull up a copy of it, show it to you. It's really nice. But I'm halfway through reading that. I've got probably.
And Ian wants me to mention my everything out there on the Clyde Lewis Ground Zero Radio Network. That's Sunday nights from 9 to 11. I took a couple of weeks off from that, and I had a frog in my throat, or something in my throat. I think it's bigger than a frog.
Bullfrog.
But anyway,
Bullfrog.
Yeah,
that was a rough one.
Had some kind of sinusy weird thing. I don't get the flu. I haven't had the flu since way back in the 80s. So I don't think it was the flu. I didn't run a temperature or anything with it. But I could barely speak above a whisper. My throat was on fire, and just a lot of tiredness and lethargy. So I took a couple of weeks off from the radio show. Had a new episode last night with a guy named James O'Keefe, who had a lot of strange experiences from Maine to Mexico. It's a good show. Go check it out.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. I know James O'Keefe. Probably not the same one.
This is
probably not the same as you. When you said it, I went, wait a minute, what? I was trying to put everything in perspective. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's hard, and I know that Steve and I talk all the time, Messenger, whatever, talk on the phone. And I always tell him, look, I feel so bad when you have a scheduled show and it doesn't show up, or you're watching a show and it just goes black. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's nothing I can do. Half the time I can't even stop it. So like you're trying, like I said, you're trying to sort out if is it StreamYard, is it the browser, is it this, is it that? And I'm not a tech person. We all know that. I had a coconut water,
Yeah, just
and
in case anybody wondered what I was drinking
I
along
have,
with my
yeah, and
coffee
I have
there.
no way of telling you guys, hey, I didn't get swatted. I didn't, nothing hit me in the head. I didn't pass out on the control panel. I'm okay. There's no way you can put anything out there. You try to put a post in community, but people on Rumble don't see it. I mean, it makes me mad because we schedule, like to get together Tuesdays or Thursdays or whatever, have a lovely time, whether we're watching a movie or an old show, or I put together one of those radio mysteries and visuals and stuff. It's just fun to hang out in the chat and check in on each other midweek. And I'm trying to come up with something that works for us. So I'm not going to give up on that. Don't give up on me. Hang in there. And like I said, not not everything is me hitting the wrong button, but trying to sort that out and find things we can do without a microphone. Because I don't have a lot of time to sit back and record everything and then just load up a recording. That's what I did for years. And then I told Steve, I said, look, I want to have people here to talk to them, to have a conversation. But I'm kind of getting at that point now where I'm like, Eric, it's like I've had the authors I wanted to talk to. I've asked them the questions. I've loved to have them back on for sure. But when you have a scheduled show, like I have a lot of people in the UK I'd love to have on live that are dear, dear friends, but the time is so off. Those would
Yeah,
have to
I
be recorded.
run into that. I do shows sometimes in the UK. I do Truth Proof with Paul Sinclair, and it's like I don't know, sometime in the afternoon or like 1 in the afternoon or sometimes just
Yeah,
getting going then. But
yeah.
and it's even worse with Australia. Some of those are like a day and a half ahead or something, or 18 hours or something crazy like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I love to have the live show and stuff like that. But you also don't want to I don't like to just put together anything. I like to the deep research and stuff like that. That's again why I did the Rumble, so I could talk about these deep conspiracies like the JFK and the Oklahoma bombings and the Flight 800 and all these different ones. Just name them. There's so many of them. Because I love to dig into those shows. And then for this one, um, I've got a stack of like 6 books I've got to read that I've got either sent to me by authors who, want to come on. And this is the thing, you read the book, and some of these are, real thick. I mean, like for Sean, I mean, for some of these people, I've read several of their books just because it's a series.
yeah,
And then you get them on, you get them scheduled, you're ready to go. You've got your outline, you've got your questions, you've got your research, and then they call, or let you know like that the morning of or a couple hours before they can't make it, somebody's sick, emergency, and you understand that and you reschedule, and then something happens then, and you think I'm trying to budget my time as best as possible and do a good show and do deep research because I don't just throw stuff
yeah,
together and then people cancel on you like it's nothing.
yeah.
Like,
5 minutes before you go, oh, I can't make it tonight. But I do that too. I get a lot of books from other people. This guy, I want to get him on. Garrison Keeler, you ever heard of him? Had a little
I
show
love
called
Garrison. Yeah.
Prairie Home Companion.
Obi Gone days.
I got a copy of his book. He signed it to Steve Stockton for him to read in his distinctive narrative voice. And
Hello, Kim.
I'd
Welcome
love to
in.
have him on, but I don't know.
Isn't that cool?
I don't
Yeah.
know what show I'd even put him on.
Right. Yeah. Well,
But I'll
and
find
see
a
that
place
that's
for
it
him.
too. It's like you find people that you want to put on. So like when I do the Rumble channel, I want to do it to where it's paranormal sutra, it's everything pretty much because
Hi, Kim.
history and all that kind of stuff because you are kind of limited to people you come in because here's the thing. I don't know whether you guys noticed or not, but not everybody in the paranormal is telling you like it is. They might very well believe that, they have fairies living in their eyelashes, but I'm going to tell you 9 out of 10 times that's probably not true, you know. But I don't know. I don't know your eyelashes. I don't know how what's going on. But you get my drift here. It's like somebody will say, "Hey, get this guy on." Now I've done that before, and boy, whoa, I'm sitting here going, "Oh my gosh," because I have abilities. I can read energy. When you're telling me a story and I'm not seeing you go, I'm not getting through your memory, you're going back and I'm just getting this brick wall or a blank spot. I'm either something you're talking to me about is blocking it it feels two different ways to me. So I don't know how it feels to you, but I can usually tell the difference. Or you making it up out of whole cloth because there's no background energy coming off of it. Does that make sense? And then I've got somebody that's telling maybe some kids that are listening to my show, some young people, and that could be anybody under the age of 50 to me. And, they're trying to understand their abilities or maybe something they saw or explain an experience they had. And it's deep, man. It's deep and it's important. And I just had somebody on my show that just, made up stuff out of, Krampus living in their pillowcase. Do you see what I mean? I don't want to feed you stuff that I know for a fact is just bonkers. I'm wide open to stuff I don't know about. I'm going to listen to you. If I'm interested in it, I'm going to go research it. But I can't knowingly have somebody on that's just going to, unless I say, hey, here's such and such coming in as their, split personality, uh, Bigfoot, and then we just go at it that way. But it's hard to pick stuff that's informative and have, you know, uh, people on, and then, if they're not sick or they don't just blow you off and then you never hear from them again, or that I've got one person that has rescheduled me 5 times every time. And you never get a sorry afterwards or a, hey, I'm sorry I left you hanging, when's your next Sunday or whatever, let me, they just keep going and keep going. And then you see them on somebody else's show and you can think, man, you son of a gun. You call them up and they go, yeah, 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 I'll be there Sunday. And sure enough, somebody else's, you know, it's just, I don't think people know the time.
No, they
There's
don't. And
most,
likewise, I'm the one that they call sometimes, like, our guest canceled last minute. Can you come on and talk about something?
yeah.
I've gotten a lot of gigs that way.
And I don't mind that too, but I'm really limited in the time and the nights that I can do it
Yeah,
where I have a
same.
studio. I'm
Especially
working
now with a
on,
baby.
yeah, real soon getting, to a different place where I can have that, even if it's a walk-in closet or an outside shed or something like that. But right now I'm dealing with, just being respectful to everybody else, and most of the time, mostly the listeners and the guests that come on because I want it, comfortable enough for them to talk to me and tell me the stories and tell the listeners, but it's also the listeners and, the people in the chat, I don't want to leave them hanging with, you know, you know what I'm saying? It just makes me mad. I take it serious, even though I don't look it, I take it serious, because like I said, I have been in the room and watched a couple bounce in the room for a seminar and listen to the things that, like, you could tell the guy was just coming for, like, yeah, he's there and he's going to find some things he's interested in. And, but he's pretty much coming for his girl, and she's telling him, I can hear little pieces of it. It's like, yeah, when, my grandmother came to me, she says, I didn't have any hope and this and that. And, stories like this, you hear pieces of, and she showed up and it just changed everything for me. And I went to school and I picked that choice and it was great and all this other stuff. Little stories like that. And then somebody stands up front and tells them ghosts aren't real. Every ghost you ever see is a demon. You're being fooled. You're making it up. It's something you saw, you hallucinating, you're schizophrenic or whatever they're saying. And you could just feel the energy just drop in in the individuals in the room, instead of saying these things are possible, but also what you felt and you experienced is also possible, and they're not mutually exclusive from each other, and you don't just crush somebody like that, and it just, these blanket things, I think that's the number one thing that got me really started doing podcasts, is not just talking about victims and stuff like that, of satanic ritual abuse and things like that have survived. And people don't believe people of some of the horrors they've been through. And I'm here to give them a voice. I did a lot of that when I first started the podcast. I had a lot of people on. We talked about a lot of that stuff. And then they started not allowing a lot of truth on some channels. So you had to back off of it and then kind of ease back into it again. And other
Certain
channels,
words you can't say, or you had to dance
yeah,
around it, or use initials or something. I mean,
it's
what's the
crazy,
point?
facts are facts and truth is truth, and you got to lay it out for people to discern for themselves, because you never know what piece of information is going to validate a story for somebody, or the other way, you know. And you just don't want to go broad brush crushing people like that, you know, especially if you don't know what you're talking about. Again, one of the biggest things for me too is I heard three different psychic mediums, whatever it may be, on a show, excuse me, telling blanket statements like everybody who passes in a violent manner is a ghost. Well, that's just not true. That's not even close to being true. And now you just told a bunch of people that might be in grief of their person or in fear of themselves, and you just said something that wasn't true. That, oh my gosh, I know he's, you don't realize the reverberations that sends out into the world. It makes people very uncomfortable with their own experiences and their own thoughts. And here you get to come and say, hey, look, uh, I had a dream twice where my loved one came to me and they were okay and it felt so real and they spoke to me, but they didn't move their mouths and this and this and this and this and just whatever it might be. And I'm going to look at you and say, how did you feel when that happened? Did you feel like it was real? Why are you talking yourself out of it? And what's it hurting if that gave you hope? And here's 10,000 other stories that match yours that you can carry with you when you're doubting. And you can say, you know what? Why would I doubt that when it felt right? It felt, you know, and let somebody else talk you out of having that comfort. I don't get why people do
Yeah.
that.
One size doesn't fit all. Your mileage may vary.
Your miles, exactly. Exactly. I feel the same. So if you guys have any questions, we're not going to stay real late tonight, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to, if you have, I can't say that I can answer them all, but if you ever had a question about ghosts, paranormal experiences, supernatural cryptids, UFOs, aliens, whatever, Steve and I can bounce it around.
Yeah. Ask us anything. We may
And
not be
ask
able
us
to
anything.
answer it, but ask away.
Yep, you can ask pretty much
Hey,
anything.
KD, how you
This is
doing?
what I mean, Katie. See, that's what I mean. And a lot of people, Kate, they read the books, they search for the information, they go on the paranormal investigations, they're
Hi,
drawn
Virgil.
to pet communications, pets coming back to say hi. As far as me, myself, and I, love is eternal. I have a lighter that says it on there. I'm wearing a necklace that says it on there. That energy does not die; it just changes. And I think that when people hear that, um, and it validates something that they've gone through or something they felt their whole life to be true, we are going to go through times and walks on our journey where we doubt that, especially in our down times. I mean, you should have seen me yesterday. You're going to have bumps in that journey, and when you've got these solid things to hold on to remind us that this isn't it, this is temporary, and our loved ones are fine and they're watching us. They can't fix things for us, but they're loving us through it. And that continues on. We're here for a purpose, and whatever that may be. It again, your mileage may vary, right, Steve? But thank you
Absolutely.
for joining us. Welcome in, welcome in. And if you are new here, please hit the like. If you think, subscribe. It's free. Just hit the button for me. I would appreciate it so very much. I don't look at that stuff as a small deed. And if you are not on Rumble, please get on Rumble because we are going to be doing shows over there too. Are you sleepy? Good night, Henry. We love you, baby. We love you. I hope to see you midweek sometime, but
Have a good night, Henry.
we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's how I feel about that. How about you, Steve?
Yep.
Here's one. Take that one, Steve.
Might be a past life experience. I've had dreams that seem to come from somewhere else, like some sort of collective memory or something that I have that I can't explain. And when I was on the Belief Hole podcast, I talked about a little deja vu that I had when we were traveling through Ohio when I was a child. It was my first time through Ohio. And I knew that coming up around the bend on this little country road we were on, there was a farmhouse and some outbuildings in various states of disrepair. And there was a swing set and a sandbox in the backyard. I'd never been up that way. And I'm telling my parents, yeah, right up the road here, there's a white house, there's a swing set, a sandbox. And I remember, and they're like, "No, you don't. We've never been through Ohio. You've never been through Ohio." They had, but little about a mile or two up the road, there it was. So was that a past life thing? Was that some sort of weird deja vu? How did I know that? I have no idea. But yeah, I've had little bits and pieces like that. Some in waking life and a lot more I think in dreams. Remember places and things that are familiar in my dreams, places that I go back to in my dreams, and time has passed there. Sometimes it's rained and the streets are wet. One time, a place I go to, there was a carnival, a street fair that was set up.
Wow,
There's a
Steve.
certain place that I like to stop and get coffee at, and little road going up into the mountains off to the right. There's two little stores. I like one of them better than the other one. I always stop there and get coffee. Where's that come from? I mean, does my brain just not
Wow.
have anything to do and it makes up these fancy worlds? But it's consistent. I mean, it's something to think about
Do
anyway,
you want
something to
now, has
consider.
anything ever happened with you, Steve? This is I love this. And I didn't see, we've known each other for years, but doggone it, when we start talking, we pull up stuff that I hadn't heard before. I'd heard pieces of that before, but I think just now it just clicked in. That's amazing. You can go back and almost continue on, and it's familiar to you, and you kind of know you're there.
Yeah,
That's like almost a different kind of lucid dreaming. It's a little different. Now, do you have control over it? Like, here's the deja vu dream. Sometimes with me is if I do that, and as soon as I realize I'm in it, it stops
yeah. I've had
and I
that
don't know what
happen
I'm
too.
cutting off. I don't know what I'm cutting off, but I'll
Yeah,
go,
there's
the
some
bus
kind
is
of
going to go
switch
by,
that
and
gets
there goes the
flipped.
bus, and it's
As soon
done.
as I realize I'm dreaming and I can control it, then I wake up or it just stops and switches to something else.
That's crazy.
It is. There's so much about dreams I think we don't understand in the dream world and dream travel and things like that. It's fascinating.
It
There's
is
been
fascinating. And I'm
books
wondering
about it,
now, did you
scholarly
ever,
and otherwise.
you said it was raining one time. Did you ever come back and like say your feet were wet? Or like I've talked to people in cases where they went outside, they thought they were dreaming, but came back, but they had walked through wet leaves and there was wet leaves in the sheets,
Yeah,
but they had
I've
never
never
left.
had that happen, but I've heard of people doing that where
That's
they
that's
dream
wild.
about being outside and they wake up and they dream of walking on the beach and there's sand in their bed or something like that and
Right.
they're nowhere near. That personally has never happened to me, but I've
That's a
heard
trip.
people talk about it.
That's a trip.
I've
I'm
tasted
gonna
things in dreams. I like that
Wow.
coffee that I was talking about that I like to get at this one particular little store in this place that I dream travel to frequently. I've woken up before with that coffee taste still in my mouth.
Wow. Wow. Now I've
How
had
do you
them.
explain that?
I
The
can't.
brain is a
I can't
marvelous thing, but
because my mind is like the gears are going now where I'm thinking, okay, so when we're asleep or in that deep sleep, our subconscious, are we leaving our body? All these things could be true. You know, you could be, lucid dreaming, you could be astral projecting, you could be, your subconscious could be connecting to a parallel existence in another dimension where your mind is connected to that split soul and you're existing on another plane and you just kind of pop into that existence for a little bit while you're asleep. I mean, all of these things. I mean, I don't have all the big fancy scientific
yeah,
words for
I
that.
wonder if
All that could
when
be
I'm
true.
not dreaming, if the dream me is still there, still interacting with people, because when I go back to these places, people know me there, and I know people, but I've never had them say, where
Wow.
you been? We haven't seen you in a week. It's just like we
Oh
just,
my gosh, that's a
but
book.
the time has passed. I mean, there things are going on. Stuff has changed. Like I said, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's fall of the year.
Mm,
But there are consistencies there, like the gas station with a good coffee, and
yeah. Wow.
there's that's just that one springs to
Blows
mind.
my
But
mind. Um, the only thing that I have that I can dreams have never been a real big thing with me. I have had dreams where I know I'm somewhere else, like you. Never had it to where I know exactly, excuse me, where I am. It's always different. But like probably the most profound one I've had that was like that was after the Gettysburg experience, was a couple months after, and I'm walking down this tunnel, and the only way I can describe it, in fact, I was darn sure it was, is I was getting off a plane and walking down the tunnel. And it kind of curved, and when it curves, you can see what's on the outside. What's at the end of the opening of the tunnel. and you expect to walk into an airport, except it wasn't an airport. It was kind of, I want to say smoky or foggy, but it was more like the light, excuse me, and the shadows, and there was many people there, but only the people up front had color and dimension and form and looked like real people. Excuse me. And I went up and I recognized them, but I couldn't place them. And I remember thinking in my mind, I always have this thing like, where have I seen you before? Was I bartending and I served you? Did I food at the, whatever? Did you come into the florist I was at? We do a job for you? I'm just trying to place the face. Excuse me. And this one young man kind of stood out from the crowd. He's wearing overalls, almost like a hand done Civil War era farmer's Amish type handmade shirt. I remember looking at the stitching as I'm coming up on it. I mean, the things that you pull out of a dream. I put my hand out to shake his hand and I was like, "Do I know you?" And he's just looking at me smiling and without moving his mouth. He kind of, as he's leaning into me, he's it was really weird because his mouth wasn't moving, but as he got closer, he got louder. It's weird, even in a whisper. And he said, "I met you in the field." And right away, I knew it was the guys from Gettysburg that I had crossed. And I looked around and they all just started coming into view and it was crazy. And I just remember getting the hugs and, just it was insane. It was so real. I've had them with my dog, with, other people, family members and stuff like that. So when you tell me you had a dream like that and you start describing it to me, and then it meant you want it to be real. And I'm going to look at you, I'm going to say it probably was. It probably was, especially if it had that profound effect on you like that. Wouldn't you say so, Steve?
I think so. Yeah, I think there's somehow, somewhere, another dimension, alternate universe, or something. I think, like I said, that continues on when we're not there, and we jump in and out of it. I'm wondering if that
I know people that can do it at
Steve
will.
is in this reality, and thinking, I had this weird dream where I live in a house in Massachusetts and I've got a wife and a little baby. What's that all about?
Mm.
It's
It's just
just
mind
mind blowing
boggling.
to think of. Yeah,
It's like every time we get together, I think we come up with a little something where we just makes us think and wonder. Because I had all those dreams when I was a kid too about past lives. I mean, but every single dream I would have would scare my mother to death. If it had been in this era, I probably would have been in a psychiatrist's office on some kind of medication by now. But back then in the 60s, 70s, they didn't do that. They just dealt with what they had to deal with. You straightened out or you didn't. And it's kind of true. And I remember going to her in the morning, like waking up or having dreams, where your parents come in, it's just a dream, it's just a dream. Every dream I would have, I was a soldier. I was fighting. And the one I had the most, when I looked down, Steve, I was wearing, I don't know what do you even call it. It's like a tunic that they wear it over armor, and it was kind of like they had the flag of the king or whoever you
yeah.
were fighting for on the front. And I would see that, and I would see the mud that was mixed with the blood. When I looked at my hands, they were man's hands. And I would tell my mom, I could remember one time just looking at them, I could still see it. And she's looking at me, and it felt like the movie Sixth Sense in that moment. Of course, it hadn't been made then, but when I saw Sixth Sense, it made me remember this. The look on her face, she was so scared, like she thought it was nuts, you know. And it took a couple of years of just not telling her about it, and then like when I was having the dreams, kind of dealing with it on yourself, that kind of, I guess that kind of struggle to keep those things down and quiet, because you start realizing not everybody does this. Not everybody sees ghosts. Not everybody sees things or knows things that are going to happen. So you keep them quiet and you don't draw pictures of them in school, because, like the little kid in Sixth Sense says, they don't call home about pictures of rainbows and things like that. So, it's rough on kids. That's why I do the show too. To let you know you're not alone. Virgil's got and welcome in, Virgil. A question. Do you want to do this one, Steve?
Yeah, Virgil says, my grandmother always said, don't fear the dead, they can't harm you, but it's the living who will harm. But that isn't always true. My friend worked in a mortuary. A coffin slipped off the top shelf and crushed him. The pathologist said death would have been instantaneous. Boy, I still miss him. Any thoughts, guys?
Oh man. First of all, I'm so sorry that happened to your friend.
Yeah, condolences. But
I
was it the dead that made the coffin fall off the shelf? Or
right.
is it human error? Was there there's so many
That was my
factors here to look at.
first question as well, Steve. Virgil, I can't really comment on that other than the fact that it's extremely unfortunate. And
Yeah,
my when Steve was reading, I was trying to pick up the energy on it. It almost seems like it was something that was misplaced or something was wrong, something was broke. Where there's like these rollers. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but I wouldn't say that that was probably that was a ghost that was trying to hurt somebody. And I would need some background on that, like that, on something like that. Like, was your friend going through something? Was he struggling with something attacking him? Because the thing is with ghosts, again, that statement, we were just talking about that last week when people say ghosts can't hurt you. And I'm here to tell you that, in my opinion, and what I've seen and the cases that I've been involved with and the stories that have told to me by people that I trust, I would have to say that's complete BS, because I have worked very hard to get things off of people that they picked up, in an investigation or in a curse situation, or some of it they brought on themselves. They called it to themselves. There's so many different ways that can happen. Where I think one of the probably the most common ones, Steve, back me up on this or add to it as you feel, your opinion on it. But I think a large portion of ghosts that attach themselves to other people without those people doing anything to bring it in is because that person reminds them of somebody from their past,
yeah.
and it
Excuse
triggers
me.
that anger or that.
A similar energy imprint is would be my
Yes,
interpretation.
yes, yeah,
Not the
so,
same
right,
person, but similar
similar,
qualities.
and it
And
could
like,
be,
because
yes,
I've had that happen. Somebody remind me of somebody else, and then you automatically judge them or think a certain way about them just because they remind you. They might be totally different. Which I've had that happen. A guy that I met in eighth grade and was friends with all through high school. I didn't like him at first because he reminded me of another kid that I knew who had picked on me and bullied me. And I thought that guy. Rah, rah, rah,
and
rah.
ghosts are no
But
different,
then
Steve.
once I
Beautiful
got to
story, true.
know him, he was a great guy, nothing like the other person that he reminded me of. And lesson learned. I never forgot that.
And that's us here, supposedly aware and alive and able to sort things out, talk to people and all that. When a ghost is in a situation,
Hey,
they're just
Kathina.
going on their feeling. And I thought it was so interesting. Like a couple weeks ago, we were talking about it, and we're talking about love is such a profound energy. I think it's the strongest one out there. I think it beats anger too. I really think it beats everything. Everything that I've seen tells me that. But I think anger is a very strong one as well, because that seems to propel a lot of these ghosts. And
Yeah,
like Steve said, very, very, thanks for saying it, Steve, that you might not look like the person, but your energy might be similar. You don't know how
right.
they're perceiving what's around them. We assume so much about ghosts. They're seeing what I'm seeing. They're seeing the same walls I'm seeing. They know who I am. They know they're not in a field anymore. They're at Toys R Us. No, they don't. Not necessarily. You can't take any of that for granted. So I guess it's a long way to answer you, Virgil, but here's the thing. Yes, ghosts can hurt people. They don't normally just go after, like if you have a poltergeist, we all hear that, the noisy ghost that throws
They
things.
can also make you hurt yourself.
Yes, they can, but they for sure can push you down the
Overreacting.
stairs. And there's a different type of ghost. It's almost like a hungry ghost in a way. And what I mean by that is it's almost in the realm of, we're just doing this to suck out energy, and I'm going to take whoever this is because I'm gathering for whatever reason it's doing it wants to take that person out. So if it's a personal vendetta, whether they remind them of someone or they're just inherently bad, for whatever they've become and however long it's been. And I'm only talking about human now. If you're just talking about ancient or entities and things like that, that could be anything. It depends on what it is. But there are soul collectors and there are ghosts that try to collect souls, very much like in Cabin 22, the book I wrote, and in Poltergeist, he had gathered a lot of souls and wouldn't let them go. There's a lot of that, but it seems to be the anger is the one. If they're very angry, it seems to be the kind of ghost where it comes in and things just start flying, almost like a gust of wind
Yeah.
comes into a room.
Hey, slow boy, welcome in.
Hey, slow boy, I hadn't seen you in a while. Good to see you, babe. Where it's almost like this burst of energy comes in. So think about this. It's a little experiment you can do. When take your hands and just the palms. You don't want to do so much your fingers. You're concentrating on your center, your palms, and you just start rubbing them so you get a friction and you start getting that heat. And once you start, just do it for a little bit, keep doing it till you start getting that warm heat. And then I'm going to be quiet and you're going to look at your hands and you're going to start directing light towards your hands. And the warmth is going to help you focus on that. Now, very slowly, start putting your fingers together and cupping your hands as you keep them in that motion and pull. Can you feel that? Can you feel that? And if you didn't do it the first time, try it after the show and just do it about 2 or 3 times and really concentrate and then just focus your energy and kind of almost like you're putting your thought and your focus and your light, and just imagine a light going into your hands. When you pull them away slow, you can almost feel an energy ball. We've all seen it on the Harry Potters and the magician movies and all that kind of stuff. That's true. So now if you imagine that all you're left in a realm, you're not really sure where you are in your ghost. You may not be aware of some things and not others. You may know you're dead, you may not. And all of a sudden, all you are left with is this energy. And if you're in a state where you've stayed behind, so either you're confused, you don't know what's happening, you don't know you're dead, you just woke up and all of a sudden people don't see you, they're not reacting to you. All this really could create a big frustration that eventually turns into an anger. And the next thing they know, they're just like, ah! And you might not hear the ah, but you feel the whoosh of the energy. That same energy that you just felt in your own hands. But we're so, we've got so much fluoride and people telling us it doesn't exist and you're not supposed to feel that way and this doesn't really happen and it's silly. And all that stuff is playing in your head. When you can clear all that out and you practice that, you can throw that energy. You go, whoa. Nothing feels so good as somebody across the room talking a little smack and you just go like that. They go, ow! I'll tell you what, once you do it once. It's like Lay's potato chips. You can't just zap just one, What do you think, Steve?
Yep. I know what you're talking about.
That's the thing, don't use it for bad. Use it for good. But so if we can do that, Virgil, what do you think? You think if a ghost focused on you for whatever reason, had a vendetta against you or whoever they think you might be, or maybe they're just angry you're in their house and they don't know why you're in their house and you're not listening to them and they're not, you're not reacting to what they're saying or the things that they're doing. And all of a sudden you just see them really angry in the doorway for a moment, or the remote control goes across the room or the cabinet doors start banging. This is their anger, and their energy that they're trying to dispel. And sometimes that gets focused on the person, and instead of just being happy with, like, say somebody walks in on them and they go, ah, well, that puts out an energy and they can pull energy off of that. Well, now they've learned that all they have to do is get you to go, ah, and they can get a burst. It's like changing the batteries, right?
Yep.
And
hey, Sarah, Claire.
They do that so much, it weakens the human. And then you've just got the mean ones who will hit on the infirm. Steve has seen them in the hospital. Tell that about the hospital, Steve, where we see them trying to draw that energy off of people.
Yeah, it was in the Children's Hospital in Knoxville. I was visiting a friend there, and there was just almost like a dark cloud or a black cloud hanging over this place, and my mind's eye, and I could see it just like, and it was trying to suck out the pain and suffering and grief and whatever's going on. It was drawing energy from that, And you have to know, I can't stand hospitals, nursing homes, rehab centers, places like that, because there's some sort of thought forms or something in there that feeds off that energy. And unless you're prepared for it and shielded against it, it'll work on you too.
Yep, that one right there, KD, about the past, the parallel, and the portals and astral. Listen, I learned about that very young. Steve's got a great story about being in the woods and hearing everything go quiet. And when he and I talked on the phone for the first time, I think it was like 7, 8 hours, the first time we ever talked.
Yeah.
And I remember bringing up my grandma because I had seen a Sasquatch and I'd seen other stuff. But the thing was, is when I was very young, my elder, my grandma, was still in that position here in New Jersey where she was born 1890. So as she was growing up as a little girl, you didn't tell people you were Native American. You tried to hide it because things would happen, and it's just a bad part of history. But when she told me anything that was Native American, like herbal stuff, like herbal teas, sassafras tea, just mint teas, anything like that, she would tell it very quiet, like I never understood why she would get in trouble for telling me mint tea would soothe a bad stomach, or sassafras tea would work for, this or that, or mullein or whatever. And I never really asked her. She said, you just don't tell people because they don't understand. And of course, I'm just a kid. It took me probably a lifetime to understand what she was talking about, the depth of what she was talking about, because how many people cured people in the village with herbs and stuff like that. And as soon as the cow dies or doesn't give milk anymore, people are getting burnt at the stake or whatever. So, I mean, I understand it wasn't just natives, but the thing that she told me was she was trying to explain portals to me, and she was trying to explain things in the woods that would take you with them and things like that. And she would also tell me that if you're in the woods and things get quiet like that, all of a sudden the birds stop singing and the crickets stop chirping and you don't even hear the wind anymore, to stop immediately and retrace your tracks back and get out of there.
Get out of there. Yep, absolutely.
Tell about yours, Steve.
Yeah, I was in the Smokies up near Klingman's Dome. I was wandering around off trail and came across a clearing with this strange tree there. I was just like, it was like a Disney tree. It was hyper real and looked like it'd been imagineered. And in this little clearing, I stepped in there to have a look at this tree, and the whole forest, it was just like somebody hit the mute button. I didn't hear the wind in the leaves. I didn't hear any water or anything off in the distance, just deathly quiet. I mean, oppressively quiet. Just the noise, the lack of noise was deafening. If you've ever heard that statement, it was so quiet that it was loud. If that not only that doesn't make any sense, it's an oxymoron. But and then I started feeling like, maybe. And this tree was huge. There were 6 people holding hands with taking a reach, and it's a tree that's not indigenous to that area, which was another weird thing about that. It looked like a beech tree. But that height up in the Smokies, you don't have beach. But I thought, that'd be a good place to sit down and just take a rest. The sun had broke through the clouds and was just hitting this tree, and it was glowing. Looked like something out of a Frank Capra movie. And I thought, I could probably even sit down here and lean up against it, maybe take a little nap. I bet that'd be nice. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, where did that thought even come from? I need to get down off this mountain. It was probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was going to be getting dark soon, and I was off trail. Didn't have a flashlight or anything with me. If I'd sat down there and went to sleep under that tree, I'd probably be one of these people like Dennis Martin or Trinity Gibson or Polly Melton that went missing in the Smokies. Derek Luking. Just be careful what you listen to when you're out like that. But anytime it gets quiet like that, do a U-turn, head the other way,
Don't
back
ask
out there if you have to.
don't ask questions, just back out. And here's the reason. A lot of you in here are empaths, light workers, whatever you want to call yourself. And look, you've got abilities, you've got interest in this, there's something. So it's going to come through those filters differently for everybody. So there's a lot there to work with, whether it's the sound, whether it's if you're walking through the woods and you're using your senses, you're not listening to earbud, had all this kind of stuff and have all this blocking of your filters and you're open, you're going to feel it. And I think what you're feeling at first are these creatures backing you off. You're feeling their fear of you walking into their territory. And you're
Mm-hmm.
going to get that the same feeling a rabbit gets when a hawk is above them and they got a feeling. They don't see it yet. That's what I'm talking about. I love this, Sarah Claire. I dreamed of my great grandmother's funeral. It was in 3 parts. I wasn't allowed to go. That's amazing. So, Sarah, in that case, do you think that you were seeing it because you were connected to it? Do you think that you were thinking of her and you were picking up on her energy, and she was almost like she was there? Because here's the thing, most of the mediums and psychics that I know that see the dead and are really in tune will tell you that most people will hang around for about 3 days after. And I think that's where you get that in some rituals, you get that 3 day thing. I know Shiva's like 7 days and things. Everybody's got different rituals, but I think they sometimes they choose to hang around, or maybe cross and come back because there's so much energy and emotion dedicated to that person's name and that connection. So I think they do hang around, and they're there to listen to what's going on at the funeral or whatever. I wouldn't say it's every case, but there's so much out there to say it's extremely common. Does that make sense? So it's almost, when you said that, Sarah, I was thinking that she was probably connected to you in that love connection, and you were probably picking up what she was going through too. I mean, I don't know. I hadn't heard of that before, but man, we talked about that one last week, Steve, where I was trying to figure out how in the world did a victim from the St. Valentine's Day massacre connect into Al Capone when Al Capone wasn't even there. He knew Al was behind the St.
Mm-hmm.
Valentine's Day massacre. Al was in Miami. So I'm trying to think of that. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if anger and hate, and that's why I brought it up earlier, is 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 the second strongest
I
emotion, but it
think it
just
is. I
propels
think it
something
is.
different. It propels
Love
in a
is the
different
strongest,
way.
but there's other levels of things below love.
Yeah. And for him to be able to locate his energy to him by just thinking about it. It's like, I bet it, because I think it's that fast. I really do. I think it, in some cases, it could be just like, I bet it was that Al Capone, or he overheard somebody say it because he was hanging around the crowd. Who knows? We're just spitballing. But if he connected into that and got angry, that may have been enough for him to connect and show up where Al was. That's just, I just,
Hey, Andrew.
when you hear stuff like that, you just think, man, and people are out there poking around and making fun of ghosts. They don't even know who they're talking to, threatening them, telling them to come, come pick on me, and stuff. It just, don't ever give a ghost permission to pick on you. I understand that a lot. You get that a lot with dads in a family, or the strong person in the family. They get to a point where they can't see it. They don't know how to fight it. So they just yell out, don't pick on them, pick on me. And what you just did was double that thing's energy. Now, don't hold me to the math. What I mean is, you gave it more energy and you gave it permission. That's why I say it's dangerous to do things where you're giving spirit permission to come into you and use your body as a conduit, which is basically what a Ouija board is. So other things are too. I hate to just point out Ouija's, but you have to do a protection first. You have to know what you're doing, and you have to close it out. When you open it up, you better know what you're doing. You put protection around yourself. But that's basically what you're doing is, can you imagine going into a Walmart on a Saturday and saying, anybody here want to use my body for whatever they want to do for a few minutes, and then, just pop out? Can you imagine that? Because you don't know who you're giving permission to, and you don't know that they're going to follow the rules. You see? And you're going to get a residual of whatever that thing was that jumped into you. That's why you feel sick. Your body's taking on a different kind of energy. So
Mm-hmm.
just rethink of those things, because words have power. Steve, did you want to say anything on that?
No, I agree with you. That words have power, words have weight, and that can travel on too. Words can stay with somebody a long time. So be
Mm-hmm,
careful
mm-hmm.
what you say to one another.
Self-cursing, saying I can't, it's a self-curse. If saying I can is a motivation, well,
My
we don't
dad
like
used
to
to
believe the
say,
opposite.
"I can't, never did." He didn't want you to say I can't. He didn't say I'll try, but don't
Mm,
say I can't. You don't know. I can't never
those are
did.
those who never try are the only ones that ever failed, right, Steve?
Yeah.
But
You
you
miss
know,
100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky.
100%. 100%. I wanted to bring this one up, but this is very interesting. I've had a dream my mom is talking to me about something. She is dead, so I don't really understand what she is saying to me. Okay. So I felt the need to stop here and to let you know this is what, try this. See if this works for you, honey. Okay. Um, ask your spirit guides for help there. So what I would do is every night right before you go to sleep, you don't have to do it right before you go to sleep, but that's when you start getting calm and your mind is starting to calm down. So I want you to put out there to your spirit guides, okay? Ask your spirit guides to assist her to come to you in your dream at her convenience. Now, this is why it's important. At the time she was trying to come to you, it may have been an important message for her to give you at the time. I don't know how much time has gone in between. Time is different for them over there, from what I understand. And it may not be as important now as it was then because you've changed, even if it's a day, you've changed and priorities for her has changed. If it's something important like where the insurance papers are hidden, or I didn't want her to have that ring, I wanted you to have it, or something along those lines, that may still be important to her. So ask your spirit guides every night for 3 nights in a row, just because it seems to work, to assist her and assist you to understand the message and to make it clear, because they will help you open that up. So practice that. Also ask them to keep out any negative or anything else. When you open yourself up like that, you only want to say allow positive in. Now, people understand that sometimes you do that and the person you want to hear from or has a message, if they're going through something and they're angry and maybe they haven't crossed over and healed yet, you want to make sure that you're not getting that blast. So always ask your spirit guides, and you have to ask them and be specific about what you want, because you have the free will and they're there to guide you, guide your spirit, not tell you what to do or do it for you. You have to give them permission to assist you. Does that make sense? Try that. Do it for 3 nights. If it doesn't happen, then it might not be the right time. Wait about a week, maybe 2, and try it again. And you may get her to come through and give you a message. You may get an animal, a past animal of yours. You might get a total stranger that comes in and gives you a comforting message, but I think you'll get an answer. Let us know if you do, Kim. I hope it works for you. But just always understand, if things don't go the way you think they should, be open to get that message.
Hey,
And it might
Sparkly
just
Pig.
be,
Thank you.
if you're open, you'll get it a whole lot quicker than you would. It's like, I need such and such to come through and tell me this. Those are harder to get because that's your will and you're trying to force them, and it might not be time for them. So always give them time. Does that make sense? It's like inviting somebody over for dinner. They might have other plans. So just keep the dinner invitation open. Does that make sense? Let's see what else we get. A couple more in here before we got a toddle. Oh. This one's good, Steve. You want to take that one? It's about the anger.
I've experienced times of anger, hate, force, love, or care, and such emotions that thought forms did do active stuff, or it contradicts my good intention way. And they exit out or cross it out, so more work will also drain. Yeah, sometimes it's a battle. I mean, there are spiritual battles.
Mm-hmm.
You can be under attack,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of your intentions. I mean, even with the purest of intentions, rather, you're going to come up against evil things sometimes, and it makes it twice as hard, takes
Mm-hmm.
twice as long. That's just. But in the end, fight the good fight, stick with it, and good will always triumph over evil.
Mm-hmm. I love this one, Steve. Look at that.
There
The
you go.
strongest emotion is the one you let in.
That's the
It's
one you
like
let
the
control you.
Yeah, it's like the black wolf and the white wolf. Which one will live? Well, the one you feed, the one you feed. And I love all those tribal and the parables and everything else, because they're all true. They're all true. And I think what we do in the paranormal, supernatural, metaphysical is we try to force things. We think we need to hear something to validate something, to give us to go get that job, or to force us to, to let something go, or we need closure from this, or whatever it may be. I've been through so many cases, I can't even tell you, where the family, is going through something that they think is important to the person that's passed, and the person that passed still comes through and it goes, look, I'm okay over here, I'm doing my thing, I love you all, but please go on with your life, don't worry about this, don't burden yourself, it's just a thing, or it's just a something that happened, and that was, what was supposed to happen with that person, or that situation, and everybody just needs to work through it. And when we realize, we sit back and we say, okay, what am I supposed to get from this? What can I do? And, I'm going to do the most I can, but then I'm going to cut it off. And what I mean is, like, say somebody passed and you feel like you have to find the reason for that, please do that. But always try to end the day with sending the person that's crossed happy thoughts and energy. Say, I won't let this consume me. I won't let it change me. I won't let it bring on any extra burden to you. We're just trying to work this through because we're trying to get justice, or we're trying to get answers, and we want closure here. But we're not going to put because listen, that really pulls them back. They worry about us. I think that's why pets come back so much. They worry about us more than they do. They know they're okay, but they see that you're sad and they want to make that better. So they'll come and visit you, and, stuff like that. Always let them know that you're just having a moment, but you're okay, you know, and that gives them strength. Think about them too, is what I mean. Now, if it's just a mean ghost in somebody's house, and, like I said, you have to deal with it. But going back to that first question, as far as ghosts can't hurt you, that's just BS, because I've seen them, give people heart attacks and all kind of stuff. But it's a rare thing. But listen, if they were assholes when they were alive, they're going to be an asshole when they're dead and they hadn't crossed over. Nothing changes. They're just here, out of body, confused, and now they're just this massive energy. It's still a person, but it's a massive energy with feelings, and they're trying to sort them all out. And then 5 people come in the door with all kind of blinky things and stuff like that, and they start, asking all these questions, and God love them. I've seen people sit in the room and they're just talking, all kind and everything else. And, and I feel somebody standing in front of me that I know has killed at least a dozen people, you know. I mean, it's like, it's not a good energy. Yes, they deserve to be crossed and they have to deal with their stuff. That's not my judgment, but the energy, you can feel it. This was not a nice person when they were alive. You got to be careful dealing with certain things. I mean, you've all heard me tell the story of the group that, well, was a pair, and they had this thing on about serial killers. And in their town, they had a place, a famous, I have no idea who it is. I try not to learn too many names of them, but they, I don't want to give them any energy, So they found a place where the serial killer buried, like, I don't know, 8 bodies or something. They would go there and they would try to talk to, and then they're talking to him and everything. Well, guess what? One night they got him and he followed them home, and he almost killed one of them. Very slow. And doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. I mean, it was to the point where they sent her home. She got the IV, the hospital bed in the living room, the whole shebang. And it was him. And he was going to continue to do these things from where he was. And you have to understand energy. So I tell everybody, if you're in a bad relationship and something happens to that person, this person was abusive, they were mean, they were whatever. And I realize, if something like that happened, somebody in the family, and they were just a bad seed, whatever, wish them blessings and send them on. The old wives' tale, well, wise words, I would rather say, of don't speak ill of the dead. I think that holds a lot of weight, because you can actually keep them to you. And I've seen more than one person lose an abusive somebody and spend nothing but weeks talking about that person and being so glad and cursing them and doing all this other stuff, and they're bringing them to them. Please don't do that. Wish them well, bless them, and move it on. And don't speak of, if you don't have to, don't speak of them anymore. Let them get over there where they're starting to heal, or they're off somewhere else where higher ascended beings can handle the situation. You don't want that in your life. Does that make sense, Steve? Don't speak ill of the dead, damn it.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. That's what it boils down to. Yeah.
There's some meaning behind that. There's some meaning behind that, you know. So we're going to get out of here. While I am finishing up, I had a couple, just a minute or two of some. I still have them. Yeah, I do. Of some what I think are some of the best ghosts caught on tape, and I wanted to show them because I think we're coming across, and this is, of course, happening court ghost. And Steve, you can comment on this if you want. I don't think I even have music on it. But the reason I wanted to show this is because we're coming into a time where I actually have people showing me videos of what's obvious to me, AI, of people coming out and singing it like America's Got Talent or something like that. And they think it's real. And I'm like, no. And I'm thinking we're coming into this time where we're going to be seeing a lot of videos that are faked or CGI. And I myself, and I know Steve, I don't want to lose this. I don't want to not be able to look at something like this and say, okay, this is CGI. It's Godzilla eating New York. It's, some kid in Photoshop, whatever it is, some AI generated video.
Original sightings took place.
Remember this one, Steve? I love this one.
Yeah.
Glimmer Man.
No
Remember
one
this?
has come forward
It's
to
an
claim
oldie
this
but a goodie.
footage.
I still love it. It's so Blair Witch Project. It's Glimmer Man. Watch this, guys. Classic.
Do you see that? Over there, look, over there. Do you see that?
What the hell?
Wait, because that was it again, right there. Wait.
I don't like this.
You see that? Right there. Look.
Oh my god. That's not an animal. I don't like it.
Okay, fuck. Go.
Just makes you wonder, doesn't it, Steve?
Frightening, whatever it is. And I've covered those type creatures before. I saw something like that in Portland, Oregon one night by a train station, and it wasn't out in the woods. It was downtown Portland, Oregon.
It's crazy. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of this lately. I saw 2 weeks ago, like almost the size of what you would say like a small to medium sized monkey, about that size, and it was very what was it? It was an alien. What was it? Where it was see through. I'll be back. That's Terminator. Predator. Where it's got like that camouflage, like it's little mirrors, very similar to that, where it's just very see-throughy. I just think, Steve, there's stuff coming through portals like crazy. There's so many being opened up. There's so much black magic being thrown around. I'm telling you, if you've had a bad 3 days, you're not alone. I mean, tech stuff, like I said, both the crosses were pulled off my neck. Now, I don't mean like yanked off, but caught in stuff and broke in the same day. I'll wear these all the time, and then I'll put it right back on, bless it, put it back on. But all of these things, they're trying to get at light workers right now. So please do the cleansings. Please do the grounding, whatever works for you. Do the fire gazing, a candle, and just
sunshine.
Get it all off, put the golden white light around you. Do whichever one works for you. But I think you're going to have to do it more on the daily now for at least another month, because there's so much going on with energy. And I think once that happens, everything will just kind of break loose and we'll get freed up a little bit. Spring will start coming and, it's going to be great. As far as that, I think you're going to feel a real release. But this is kind of like the end of a big energy burst, and a lot of that negative energy hitting us hard. So if you're having a bad week this week, like little annoyances and little things that just make you feel like you're stumbling you, like you're not trying to knock you off track, you're not alone. And recognize it for what it is, and just pull your weapons out and put that light around you. Do whatever brings your energy up. 585 hertz, Steve. We're talking about the love
Yeah.
vibration. Like there's stuff on YouTube, there's stuff on Rumble, all the different sound frequencies. Do crystal bowls. You can do a gong. You can
Yeah,
do
check out
bells.
Chiro Sounds. It's Garrow,
Chiro
Midwest
Sense.
Night
Can you throw
Watchers. It's
that up,
his wife,
Kat?
Jane.
Can you throw that up, Kat? One of my mods in there. I appreciate. We have the best mods here. Throw
Chiro
bacon up to the
Sounds.
mods.
It's Midwest Night Watchers better half.
Throw some bacon up here for our mods. We have some great mods, and I appreciate you all dealing with us in the past couple weeks with all the tech issues and things like that. Like I said, I needed to fix some cables and do some other stuff, and then I got tangled in and broke the ones that weren't broke. If you've ever bent your headphone jack to where it's in your computer, and you're like, oh my God, things like that. It's just hours of just mucking around trying to get
Yeah.
things sorted. And you just get to the point where, if you get on, you're going to give the wrong message and put the wrong energy out in the universe. So I didn't want to do that to people. I take this stuff very serious. You can't just do this and come on cold, because there's a lot of stuff out there, people that don't want you to do this. They don't want you to put out encouraging words and, help people through their struggles. They don't want you telling their secrets and how to beat them and all that stuff. And we do that every time we come on. So this one blew me away, because if you look at the door, it looks like a little girl to me. And the server said she felt it. And I just wanted to show you a couple of these, because these are some. Now the Glimmer Man, I can't tell you anything about. I just like it because it's very Blair Witchy, and it's just fun to watch. But these, as far as the ghosts, I wanted to put it on here because I want you, if you're a light worker, if you're empath, whatever your abilities might be, a lot of us have multiple. So what I want you to do is watch these. Now this one is by the stairs. It's a boy and a little dog. There's the boy and there's the little dog. I want you to look at these, and I want you to practice getting put up what cat. What was it? Oh,
Chiro Sounds.
Chiro Sounds, honey. Can you?
Jane's channel.
Jane, for people so they can have the frequencies and the music. Thank you, sweetheart. I want you to practice on these videos of how they feel to you coming through your filters. Your filters are your own. Everybody's is going to be different. If you want to try your hands and just closing your eyes and seeing if you feel something, okay? I want you to practice where when you see what you see, what is the first feeling you get? Are you getting a different kind of energy? Are you getting something that's blank and empty feeling? Do you see where I'm coming from? This one's a good one too.
Cisco, I'm going to have to run.
Bye, honey.
But,
I love you, Nick. I love you, Holden. Thanks,
Love
Steve.
to
See you
everybody.
next week.
See
Happy
you next
Valentine's,
week.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Steve. Give him some
Good
bacon.
night.
All right. Good night, baby. So that's why I put these up here, so you guys can go back and watch the video again and just maybe do a couple practices. Like, okay, so your left hand is pulling, right hand is usually out. That's how it works for me. Everybody says that that's the way it goes, and I know left-handers, it just, trust me. So you have to find what's right for you. So I would say close your eyes, do a couple deep breaths, and then watch them and see if you feel anything different when it comes up in the video, or you still feeling the same. Nothing changes for you. We're going to have to start looking at videos this way, because if you look at something, you go, I don't want you to say that looks fake, or that looks AI, or that looks made up. I want you to start practicing, this feels fake. This feels empty. It feels made up, because we're really going to have to up our filters if we're going to start looking at this stuff, or you're going to be doing even in investigations in unknown places. If you're going to check out a house or haunting or something like that, there are so many holograms available now to blue just regular people, and it's extremely realistic. So if you're interested in being a better paranormal investigator, or somebody who's just discerning, or you're missing being able to watch things like this on whatever channels you watch, and things like this where you look at the chair and you go, okay, that could be somebody off to the side, and it could have a string, it could be this, it could be that, it could be a guy in a green suit, whatever. Instead of trying to do that, let's kind of move out of that and start feeling it. And that way, when you start, whatever muscle you exercise, this feels extremely real to me. I can feel that. I can feel the anxiety in that person running, But, and it's different than just looking at it when the cannons are just there and you could feel it coming. I don't know if you guys get that. Everybody's going to be different. But because you don't have it now, doesn't mean you won't have it later if you exercise it. So at this point in time, if you're interested in moving into your abilities and honing one of them or all of them, I'm going to bring people on. I love Michelle. I love Stephanie. I love Lynn. I love a lot of these people that I have on that are going to give you tools to work with to get through, hard times. I mean, I have to have people remind me when I'm going through stuff. Hey, you need to take a break. You need to settle. This one blows me away. Now, could it be done with a guy in a green suit coming in, and then taking it out later, through chroma and all that kind of stuff? Sure. But does it feel like that? When your mind is racing and you're looking at this and you're looking at, why are two guys sleeping in a room with a camera? You're blocking your filters. Feel it. Do you feel a difference? Because this is energy. The electronics are giving off energy and it's coming through. So be careful what you accept. Be careful what you watch. Okay? Be careful what you listen to while you sleep. All kinds of tricks are being played. Look at this. Now, I want you to look at his pants. See how his pants look like almost like they have a hand under the cuff of the pants? Do you see that? That's insane. And the thing that convinced me was, on top of the feelings I was getting, was then I added the visuals. Then I added the visual validations of it. Almost looked like there was like a hand underneath his pants that left room for whatever was pulling him. That's hard to fake. It's not impossible, but it would have to be somebody in a green suit that they pulled out, and I think there would have been some feel there. Good night, Cathedra. We love you, baby. This one, I didn't see it at first, but it is over all the way to the left side of the screen, and it's somebody walking down this sidewalk. So it's my left. Yeah. So left side of the screen, and you'll see him walking down the sidewalk, and then they'll do a close-up on it. But again, when another energy comes into an area, if there was, say, a cat sitting on that ledge there, that cat would be aware of that energy walking up. A dog, a bird, a squirrel. And we've kind of lost that in a lot of ways, that intuition, that feeling that you get like right before the elevator door opens and there's somebody on that elevator, and you get that feeling. If you're not caught up looking at your phone or caught up thinking about what you're doing next or whatever it may be, and anxiety covers up, start learning to train your breathing and feel your surroundings. And before you go into that parking garage or on that elevator, if you get the feeling it says don't do it. Start paying attention to your intuition, your feelings, and your filters. So that's why I put these up here. You practice and see if you feel it change, because here's the deal. The veil is thinning. A lot. People are messing with a lot of magic right now. Chaos magic, black magic, Santa, you name it, it's out there. And it is on full tilt boogie. Okay. So by practicing these types of things, as well as even something as small as taking two cards, putting a red dot on one of the cards, having somebody mix them up and seeing if you can feel which one has the different energy, which one has the dot, which one doesn't, you know, trying to guess what's in it, have somebody put something in an envelope and try to just feel it and guess and pull the energy, psychometry. You can do that. And you can also do a couple of other little grounding techniques that help, like I said, like the fire gazing and standing in the shower, letting the water hit you and imagine it's golden light hitting the top of your head and just going through your body and taking out all the negativity down to the drain, and then pulling in golden cleansed light and filling that back up all the way to the top and out and connect it back into source. Those things right there will help you open up. But here's what I want you to be careful of, and then we're out of here. There are a lot of meditations, there are a lot of sleep meditations, a lot of sleep stories and things like that you can go to sleep while you listen to them. I have noticed there's quite a few out there that last a few hours, like 8 hours or something. It's playing while you sleep. Whatever you're listening to while you're sleeping, you're absorbing in your subconscious. Okay. What they're starting to do now is right in the middle of that, they feel like you're asleep already. They're going to put stuff in there that you don't want. So don't just go follow random channels that you haven't listened to all the way through. I want you to, before you listen to something, I want you to check it and make sure there's nothing in the middle that they're going to hit you with. They're not playing fair, guys. You know, they're on the side of evil, so don't expect them to play fair. Be careful what your kids are listening to. Frequencies are getting real big now, as far as they always have been, subliminal messaging and all that kind of stuff. Be very careful what you're listening to. Okay. Just a trusted source. Okay. They're even putting them in like the middle of like Bible verses, like fall asleep to Psalms or something, right smack in the middle. Because I'm telling you. Now this one I put up here because this is, of course, CGI. Let's hope so. And it looks really real. Your mind is telling you you're seeing one thing that you know shouldn't be. It could be impossible, but it's trying to process it. You're looking at it and you're going, my God, it looks like they're looking out of an airplane window, and it must be. Once your mind starts doing that, you're in a whole different place. Okay. If you're looking at that and you just tell yourself, hey, that's not real, this is great CGI. Now it's going into a different spot. You're looking at it for the art and the craft. Okay. So if we were looking at Glimmer Man, your mind is telling you, okay, this is really scary. It's supposed to be found tape. I wonder what happened to these people. This can't be real. These people made this up. We're used to doing that kind of stuff, but you're really not absorbing the energy. You're absorbing the psyop. You're absorbing what they want you to see, the advertisement, whatever. For you as a paranormal investigator, I think it's going to be more important than it's ever been, or somebody's just trying to discern or work on your own abilities. I think it's more and more important to start focusing back on your intuition and your feelings and your natural senses. Because there's going to be a lot of fakery coming in people and in video. That's what I have for you tonight. I love you. I'm sorry if I missed any of your questions. I thank you very much for being extremely patient with all the tech issues and everything else while we try to bang this channel out to where it's what I want it to grow into, what I want it to be. I'm hoping I will be in a place where I'm able to get you a lot of live historical events and deep dives into some haunted places. And, I've got a lot of good plans for this, but I got to knock out some of the kinks first, and I got to find a place where I can do it, where I'm not worried that I just went through weeks of preparation to put up a show and somebody can just push a button like that without a reason and cut you off. So just tell me why. If is it me? Is it you? Is it just a tech thing? Is it something else? Or, just let me know, because I'll find another place. So thank you very much. I appreciate everybody on Rumble. I appreciate everybody on YouTube and on Facebook. I hope everything is going well with you and your loved ones, because this week it's real important to remember that. Let's spread the love this week. Don't get caught up and you don't have money to buy somebody something that's going to dazzle them. Dazzle them with you. Dazzle them with you. Dig down deep. Be creative. Most people want time, attention, and know they're appreciated. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do that. You don't have to spend any. So let's just remember the real feeling of that love. And we need to carry that through in your investigation and in your research into the paranormal, metaphysical, and supernatural. Because if you're wrapped in love and that light, none of this dark can get you. It'll keep shooting little arrows and be a real pain in the neck, but it can't get in for any length of time. Once you realize, okay, wait a minute, that's not my base feelings. That's not me. I need to take a break. I need to move away from this for a minute and just regroup. Do that. Okay. And let's work on our filters. Okay, guys, love you very much. Number one thing that makes us feel better: kick off your shoes, get barefoot in the kitchen, dance, sing into your wooden spoon, dance in the grass, pick up the dog, dance around the living room, whatever you want to do. But let's dance our way out of here. I love y'all. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for being here.